I stood in the rain outside my grandmother's house, my house now, legally mine for 3 years, watching through the window as my cousin Roy popped a bottle of champagne. My Aunt Elaine was laughing, that same cackling sound I'd heard my whole life when she thought she'd gotten away with something. They were celebrating. Celebrating kicking me out of my own home. The house smelled like Grandma Elizabeth's peach cobbler when I inherited it at 23. She'd raised me after my parents died in that car accident on I-85 when I was 7. "Ronald baby," she'd whispered on her deathbed, "this house is yours. Don't let nobody take it from you." I'd promised her. 3 years of keeping that promise, of paying every bill, of maintaining her garden exactly how she liked it. Then Aunt Elaine showed up 2 months ago with papers. "Grandma wanted me to have this house," she'd said, smirking. "Got the will right here." The will was dated 2 weeks before Grandma's death. My grandmother, who could barely hold a pen by then, supposedly wrote a completely new will cutting me out. I knew it was fake. The lawyer I'd consulted confirmed my suspicions. The signature looked traced, the witnesses were Elaine's friends. But fighting it in court would take months and thousands I didn't have. So Elaine got a judge to grant her immediate possession while we litigated. And now she was inside, moving furniture. Roy carried in a flat-screen TV, grinning like he'd won the lottery. My cousin, who'd never worked a real job in his 31 years, was treating my inheritance like his personal come-up. Through the window, I could see him pointing at where he wanted things placed. My things were already in a storage unit. They'd changed the locks yesterday while I was at work at the warehouse. I'd come home to find my key didn't fit anymore. Everything I owned, stuffed into a 10 by 10 unit I couldn't afford. My clothes, Grandma's photo albums, her Bible with my baby pictures tucked inside. All locked away while strangers, no, worse than strangers, family who knew exactly what they were doing, invaded the space where I'd learned to ride a bike in the hallway, where Grandma had taught me to cook Sunday dinners, where I'd cried into her shoulder after every heartbreak. But here's what Elaine didn't know. Here's what made me stand in that rain with a smile nobody could see. I hadn't just spent the last 2 months crying and packing. I'd spent them investigating, digging, making phone calls. Because Grandma Elizabeth had taught me something else. Baby, when folks show you who they are, believe them. And when they come for what's yours, make sure you protect it smart, not loud. I'd been very smart. Very quiet. And in my pocket was my phone with one very important call already made. Let me take you back 6 weeks. I was sitting in the public library, hands shaking as I scrolled through property records on the free computer. That's when I found it. The house, my house, had been used as collateral for a loan Elaine took out 3 years ago, right after Grandma died. $50,000 from a private lender named Charles Moretti. She'd forged documents then too, claiming she was the heir before probate even finished. The loan was due next week. She hadn't paid a single installment. I'd stared at that screen for 20 minutes straight, my heart hammering. This woman had already been scheming before Grandma's body was cold. The librarian, Ms. Brown, an elderly Asian woman who'd known Grandma from church, noticed me sitting frozen. "You okay, baby?" I showed her the screen. Her face hardened. "Your grandmother was a good woman. This isn't right." "No, it's not." Ms. Brown leaned closer. "My nephew's a paralegal. Let me make a call." That call led to 3 more calls, which led to me understanding the beautiful, terrible situation Elaine had created. She'd committed loan fraud. She'd forged documents on a federal level because the loan had crossed state lines. And Mr. Moretti? He was not the forgiving type. I'd met him at a coffee shop in Decatur 5 days later, a silver-haired man in an expensive suit who listened to everything I had to say. "So let me understand this," Moretti said, stirring his espresso with precision. "This woman took a loan using property she didn't own, has made 0 payments, and is now actually moving into said property." "Yes, sir." His smile was thin and cold. "And you have proof you're the legal owner?" I slid him the original will, the deed with my name, the probate documents. Everything official. Everything real. He examined them like a jeweler inspecting diamonds, then looked up at me with something like respect. "You're what, 26? And you came to me instead of just crying about it. 26 last month, sir. And my grandma didn't raise me to cry. She raised me to think. Smart woman. He closed the folder. Here's what's going to happen. Your aunt owes me 50,000 plus interest. That's 68,000 now. I have a legal right to seize the collateral, the house. But you're telling me you're the rightful owner, which means her collateral was fraudulent. I nodded, barely breathing. I can make her life very, very difficult, Moretti continued. But I'm a businessman. You seem like a decent kid. So here's my offer. You help me recover my money from your aunt, and I'll make sure the courts know about her fraud. It'll strengthen your case to get your house back. Deal. I shook Moretti's hand, sealing a deal that would change everything. But I needed more than just his testimony. I needed irrefutable proof. That's when I called my childhood friend, Shelton. Shelton worked in IT security, and more importantly, he owed me big time. I'd lent him $3,000 when his daughter needed surgery 2 years back, never asked for a penny in return. Ronald, man, anything you need, Shelton said when I explained the situation. Your grandma used to feed me when my mom's was working doubles. I got you. Shelton set me up with a recording app that was completely legal in Georgia, one-party consent state, baby. Every conversation I had with Elaine from that point forward was documented. And she talked. Oh, how she talked. 3 weeks ago, I'd met her at Gladys Knight's Chicken and Waffles, acting defeated. Auntie, I just want to understand. Why would Grandma change her mind about me? Elaine had actually laughed, syrup dripping from her fork. Ronald, baby, your grandma didn't change nothing. She was sick, confused. I just helped clarify her wishes. You helped clarify. Grown folks' business, baby. That house is worth 300,000 now. You really think she meant for a kid to have all that? Family supposed to share. My phone recorded every word. Her admission. Her smugness. The casual way she admitted to forgery. But the real goldmine came from Roy. My cousin, bless his stupid heart, couldn't keep his mouth shut when he was drinking. I'd met him at Club Vinyl 2 weeks ago, bought him Hennessy all night, let him talk. Man, Moms is a genius, he'd slurred, arm around my shoulder like we were best friends. She got Marion from the nail salon to sign as a witness, said she was there when Grandma signed. Marion wasn't even in the state. Moms paid her $200. I'd nodded, smiled, let him keep talking. And the notary stamp? Moms bought that online. Bro $79 on Amazon. Can you believe that? $79 to get a $300,000 house. Every word recorded. Every confession documented. I'd also hired a handwriting expert with money I'd saved from working double shifts. Mrs. Loven Van Doren, retired FBI document analyst. She charged me $800 to examine the fake will. Her report was devastating. This signature shows clear evidence of tracing. The pressure points are inconsistent with natural signing. The tremor patterns don't match known samples of the deceased's handwriting from the same time period. In my expert opinion, this document is fraudulent. I had everything. Moretti's testimony about the loan fraud. Audio recordings of Elaine's admissions. Roy's drunken confessions. A professional analysis proving forgery. The only thing left was timing. And patience. Yesterday morning, I'd made one last call. To Detective Sharon Williams, an old friend of Grandma's who worked fraud cases for DeKalb County. I'd gone to her office with everything, every recording, every document, every piece of evidence I'd gathered. She'd listened for 2 hours, her expression growing darker with each revelation. Ronald, this is wire fraud, forgery, loan fraud, and potentially elder abuse if she was coercing your grandmother before she passed, Detective Williams said, spreading the documents across her desk. This is serious prison time. I know, You understand what you're asking me to do? That's your aunt. Your family. I looked her straight in the eye. My family was my grandmother. The woman who raised me, who loved me, who wanted me to have something to build my life on. Elaine stopped being family the moment she spit on Grandma's grave by faking that will. Detective Williams nodded slowly. Okay then. Give me 24 hours. We'll need to coordinate with the DA's office, and I'll need to bring in a few people. But Ronald, this is going to blow up big. You ready for that? I've been ready. That was yesterday morning. Now it was Thursday night, and I was standing in the rain, watching Elaine and Roy celebrate. My phone buzzed. A text from Detective Williams, 6 a.m. tomorrow. Be ready. We're coming with warrants. I couldn't sleep that night. I sat in my friend Soren's spare bedroom. He'd let me crash there since the eviction, staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything. About Mom and Dad, barely remembered now except through photographs and Grandma's stories. About how Grandma had stepped up without hesitation, a 62-year-old woman raising a traumatized 7-year-old. About the 1,000 little ways she'd loved me, teaching me to tie my shoes, helping with homework at the kitchen table, sitting up with me when I had nightmares about the accident. Your parents loved you so much, baby, she'd tell me, holding my hand. And I love you just as much. You're my heart, Ronald. Don't you ever forget that. I hadn't forgotten. That's why I was doing this. Not for revenge, though I won't lie, that was part of it. But mainly for her. For the promises I'd made. For the legacy she'd tried to leave me that Elaine had tried to steal. My phone lit up again. This time it was Shelton. Yo, you good? Big day tomorrow. Yeah, man. I'm good. Your grandma would be proud, bro, real talk. I smiled in the darkness, tears finally coming. Thanks, Jay. That means everything. At 4 a.m., I gave up on sleep and took a shower. Put on the suit I'd bought for Grandma's funeral, still the nicest thing I owned. At 5:50 a.m., I pulled up to the house in Soren's Honda. 3 unmarked police cars were already there, parked down the street. Detective Williams stood on the corner, talking into her radio. She saw me and nodded. The warrant team was 6 officers plus Williams. At exactly 6 a.m., they approached the door. I stayed back, as instructed, but I could hear everything. The pounding on the door. Police. Search warrant. Elaine's voice, confused and scared. What? What's going on? Then Roy, panicked. Moms, what did you do? The door opened. I watched as Detective Williams entered, 2 officers flanking her. Through the window, I could see Elaine's face drain of color as Williams spoke. I couldn't hear the words, but I knew what she was saying. You're under arrest for wire fraud, forgery, loan fraud, and fraud in connection with identification documents. The handcuffs came out. Elaine started screaming. This is bullshit. That house is mine. Ronald put you up to this. Ronald. Roy tried to run, actually tried to run out the back door, but officers were already positioned there. They brought him down in the backyard, cuffed him too. Conspiracy after the fact, based on his recorded admissions. Williams walked Elaine out in handcuffs. My aunt saw me standing there, and her face twisted with pure hatred. You ungrateful little bastard. After everything I did for you. Your grandmother would be ashamed. No, I said, my voice steady and clear. Grandma would be ashamed of you. She loved you, Auntie. She loved you so much, and you disrespected her memory for money. That house was supposed to be mine. I'm her daughter. And I was her grandson. The one she chose to raise. The one she legally left her house to. You were never going to get away with this. Detective Williams interrupted. You have the right to remain silent. I suggest you use it. They loaded Elaine into one car, Roy into another. As they pulled away, Moretti's Mercedes rolled up. The man himself stepped out, adjusting his cufflinks. Mr. Jackson. Mr. Moretti. The police just seized significant evidence related to my loan. Your aunt will be facing charges from my end as well. I'm pursuing full restitution and pressing charges. He handed me a business card. My attorney's information. He'll be coordinating with your lawyer to ensure the house is returned to you immediately, given the criminal fraud charges. Consider my involvement my contribution to justice." He started to leave, then turned back. "Your grandmother raised you right. You didn't just cry and accept it. You built a case. That's rare these days, especially in someone so young. Thank you, sir. One more thing, the 50,000 she borrowed? I'm writing it off. That fraud isn't your responsibility. The house is yours, free and clear once the courts finish." He was gone before I could respond, leaving me standing there as the sun rose over my grandmother's house. My house. The next 2 weeks were chaos. The story made local news. Woman arrested for forging mother's will, defrauding lender. Elaine's mugshot was everywhere. Family members I hadn't heard from in years started calling. Some were supportive. "Ronald, baby, we never knew what Elaine was doing." Others were hostile. "You really got your aunt arrested? Over a house? That's cold-blooded." I blocked those numbers. My real friends rallied around me. Soren, Shelton, Ms. Brown from the library, Detective Williams who checked in regularly. "Don't let anybody make you feel guilty," Williams told me over coffee. "What she did was criminal. The evidence was overwhelming. You did the right thing." The DA's office offered Elaine a plea deal, 7 years in prison, suspended to 5 with good behavior, full restitution to Moretti, and permanent restraining order from me and the property. Roy got 2 years probation and community service for his lesser role. Elaine refused the deal at first, demanding a trial. Then her public defender showed her my evidence, the recordings, the handwriting analysis, the loan documents, everything. She took the plea the next day. My lawyer, provided pro bono by a firm Ms. Brown connected me with, filed emergency motions to restore my ownership. With Elaine's criminal conviction, the fake will was nullified immediately. 3 weeks after her arrest, I got the call, "Mr. Jackson, the house is legally yours again. We've expedited everything given the circumstances. You can move back in immediately." I stood on the porch with the key in my hand, the real key, my key, and I cried. Just broke down and cried right there in the afternoon sun. Soren stood beside me, hand on my shoulder. "You good, bro?" Yeah, I'm good." The house was a mess. Elaine and Roy had left garbage everywhere, broken furniture, damaged walls where they tried to mount their TV. It didn't matter. It was mine. I walked through each room, touching walls, remembering. The kitchen where Grandma taught me to cook. The living room where we'd watched Wheel of Fortune every night. Her bedroom, which I'd never changed, where she'd passed peacefully in her sleep with me holding her hand. "I kept my promise, Grandma," I whispered. "I protected it. I protected what you gave me." Over the next month, I repaired everything. Shelton helped me fix the walls. Soren helped me paint. Ms. Brown donated some furniture from her late husband's estate. The house slowly transformed back into a home. I kept Grandma's garden exactly as she'd maintained it, roses in front, tomatoes in back, herbs by the kitchen window. I even found her old gardening gloves in the shed and kept them hanging on a hook, unable to throw them away. I started a new job, better pay, benefits, working in IT thanks to a recommendation from Shelton. For the first time since Grandma passed, I felt stable, secure, like I had a future. 6 months later, I was sitting on the porch drinking sweet tea when a car pulled up. A young woman got out, maybe 21 or 22, looking nervous. "Ronald Jackson?" she asked. "That's me. I'm Marion Williams, Detective Williams' niece. My aunt told me what you went through. I'm starting college next month, and I need a place to stay. She said you might rent out Grandma's old room." I studied her. Earnest eyes. Genuine smile. Something in my gut said yes. "I'm not trying to make money off my grandma's house," I said. "But if you help with utilities and keep the place clean, you can stay." Her face lit up. "Serious? Oh my God, thank you." And just like that, the house that had been so empty filled with life again. Marion studied nursing, kept respectful hours, and reminded me a little of myself at her age, just trying to build something good from difficult circumstances. Some nights, sitting in Grandma's kitchen with Marion studying at the table while I cooked dinner, I'd swear I could feel Grandma's presence. Approving. Proud. I never heard from Elaine again. Heard through family that she was bitter, angry, blaming everyone but herself. I didn't care. I'd learned that some people will always choose to be victims of their own choices. My life moved forward. I started dating again, a woman named Aria who worked at the library with Ms. Brown. We took it slow, but it felt right. Real. Built on honesty instead of schemes. And every night, before I went to sleep in my house, in my home, I'd whisper the same thing: I kept my promise, Grandma. And I always will. Comment: family means loyalty, not theft. If Elaine got exactly what she deserved. And if you believe everyone should protect their inheritance, hit that subscribe button. Only scammers like Elaine and Roy won't. Stand with Ronald and everyone fighting for what's rightfully theirs.